The timing of this meeting is absolutely crucial, taking place just 7 days after the 7th of June vote, parliamentary vote, and on the day when the results were declared officially official. I think it's very important. Of course, it was planned. It wasn't that Mr. Hadjiyev and Mr. Grigoryan just 2 days before the meeting decided to organize this meeting, informing their superiors, President Aliyev and Prime Minister Pashinyan respectively. Of course, naturally, it was pre-planned. It was, I'm sure, I imagine, it must have been agreed upon. The decision to the meeting was taken weeks before the actual meeting itself. Timing is very important. First of all, it means that the parties, both Azerbaijan and Armenia, are loyal to the peace agenda and they will carry on this, in the self-same spirit. The process will remain bilateral and they will do their level best to ensure the proper implementation of the peace agenda, which amongst many other things involves, of course, naturally eventual signing of the deal. In order for that to happen, of course, Armenia needs to sort out its constitutional problem, and with this 2/3 majority in the National Assembly, that may prove to be challenging. There are some concerns about it in Azerbaijan. Naturally, another aspect of this agenda is a delimitation and demarcation process. Delimitation and demarcation element of the peace agenda is being dealt by deputy first ministers, of course, but naturally presidential aid and national security secretary, they lay the foundation for future bilateral interaction.
Yes.
Allow me to say something very crucial regarding this particular track, Hadjiyev-Grigoryan track. It's a very important part of the peace agenda. These two people are very close to their respective leaders, naturally work very closely with their leaders. They effectively work very hard. And allow me to give you one particular example which will create a necessary picture for us to understand why this meeting is important, amongst many other reasons why it should be deemed as important. Back in September 2022, just a couple of weeks before, Azerbaijan and Armenia crucially agreed in Prague on the 6th of October on the mutual recognition of territorial integrity and sovereignty. Mr. Hadjiyev and Mr. Grigoryan met in Washington. They agreed on their so-called Washington document. And that document was so essential for the peace process. Effectively, the interstate process between Azerbaijan and Armenia was distinguished from the internal Azerbaijani process involving official Baku and Karabakh Armenians back then. And that was a prelude to the recognition of mutual sovereignty and territorial integrity on mutual basis in line with 1991 Almaty Declaration. So that was a preparation for that. That was a key bottleneck back then in September 2022. And these two officials sorted it out. They prepared the fortuitous ground for the leaders to agree on something fundamental. So that's the reason I think Hadjiyev-Grigoryan track should be deemed as incredibly, incredibly important. And also, of course, these two officials are related to the Peace Bridge Initiative, of which I happen to be a member. We welcomed Armenian colleagues back in Gabala 2 months ago, and you remember that Mr. Hadjiyev was present. He responded to the questions of Armenian colleagues.
Yes.
In the self-same fashion, as a reciprocal measure, before when the meeting was in Armenia, Mr. Grigoryan responded to the questions of Azerbaijani experts and civil society representatives. So there are many dimensions to this track, and I think the fact that it took place on the day when the results were declared official, just a week after the pivotal parliamentary elections, and bearing in mind the track and its multidimensional nature, I think we should take it into account very, very seriously indeed.